And by that, I mean
All right,
on
we're
behalf
back.
of Amber or on
And
behalf
then I
of
need to
John.
share screen.
No, I'm neutral.
Would you consider yourself adverse or hostile to either party?
No.
No.
All my
Any other time
testimony is
that you
going to
can
go
remember?
against Johnny Depp, but I'm
Not specifically, no.
any other time you can remember what? What the hell edit was that?
Was there a name for what you described as Mr. Depp's different self?
Yes.
What was that name?
We called it the monster.
Who is we?
All of us. Me,
All
Johnny,
of
Amber,
us.
and anyone else in the
That clarified.
inner circle that was privy to the private things that would happen.
The private things. What private things?
Oh, shit. I'm sorry, guys.
People
How do you know that Johnny called it the monster?
He named it that.
He did it.
He did.
You heard him refer to this other version of himself as the monster directly?
Or was it his sobriety?
Either heard or saw it written in a text.
So,
Do you receive
Hearsay.
texts from Mr. Depp referring to this other version of himself as the monster?
I can't remember specifically any of them.
But you do recall hearing or reading Mr. Depp directly referring to himself as the monster.
Yes.
And why did you do that?
She asked for my help.
Why did you do what?
And over the course of your relationship,
You're cutting off the question. Oh, it drives me crazy.
when Amber needed your help, you tried to be there for her, right?
where is my little
Yes.
other journal?
What do you mean by scary?
Mm.
I was scared for Amber.
Oh God, the crime.
Here it
I'm
comes.
so sad for Johnny.
I gotta go find my
She's
notebook.
my friend
I
too.
think it's in my bag.
And I really wanted them to be able to get it together.
She's neutral, but there were no tears during her entire
Why were you scared
examination
for Amber?
from Johnny's team. Immediately crying on Amber's.
It could be very unpredictable. And she didn't have a lot of self-preservation.
Color me skeptical.
What specifically, what type of harm were you worried about for Amber?
Self-harm. I mean, that wouldn't be true. That'd be crazy.
In the beginning, I wasn't worried. Towards the end, when the physical abuse was more evident, I was worried. I was worried for her physical safety. I was worried that when he turned, he might accidentally do something that was worse than he ever intended.
He might. Did he?
Did you call the cops? Actually, Rocky, you did.
When you
call the
say-
cops, didn't you?
Talk
was
about
IO. I'm confused.
abuse.
We're
Is
all
this
confused.
signs of abuse that you personally observed?
No.
Hearsay.
Can you
Cause for
explain
speculation.
Can you
what
explain
you mean
personally
specifically
observed?
by that?
Did you see it happen?
Physical effects
What
on
effects?
Amber of that abuse.
That's not observing
Yes.
abuse. That's observing the effects of abuse.
Why is it hopping around
Testified a little bit yesterday
for
about
video?
an incident between Johnny and Amber that took place in Hicksville. You remember that?
Yes.
Tell me as best you can everything that you remember about that.
We were sitting around the campfire. I don't remember who the larger group was. And Amber and Kelly Sue were sitting on a chair together, hugging. And Johnny came up and said, "Get your hands off my woman." And it was surprising because it was a very benign, two friends sitting on the same chair, hanging out.
Very benign.
And it was also surprising because Johnny had been hanging out with everybody in a friendly way, and
We might need Kahlua.
a switch flipped
Mega pint of Kahlua.
when that happened. And Amber got up, went to go comfort Johnny, and then they
that
went
would
back
be
to their
cool.
trailer.
How would you describe Johnny's tone when he said, "Get off my woman"?
At first, I thought it was a joke.
Probably was.
I
There's
thought he was kidding.
There's
because it
the
was
tell, by the way.
so unexpected from the way that the rest of the night had been going.
This is shit I hate.
And
Thought it was a joke. Why would you think that if it was actually
then at
violent?
some point, I think Amber realized that it was not a joke and got
Amber
up
realized.
to diffuse the situation.
Did you perceive Kelly Sue to be acting inappropriately in any way toward Miss Heard?
No,
Had you seen when you said a switch flipped in Mr. Depp? That was your testimony, right?
just now.
Yeah, just now.
Yeah.
Was it surprising to you to see?
No,
No, I always
Why
thought it
not?
was horrible.
he switched sometimes.
And what do you mean by that?
I think I'm
When
gonna
you
have an
say
expert
he
come
switched.
by later.
Johnny would be
you
acting
guys.
like his wonderful self for a certain portion of an occasion where people were hanging out or sometimes just privately at home. And I never knew what caused it.
I'm sorry, y'all. Family here.
It's darker. And yeah.
What do you recall? And we'll get to specific instances in a little bit. But when you say his mood would change to something darker, do you remember any specific examples of times that you witnessed when his mood changed to something darker?
I can't remember at this moment specific times
It would happen, but I can't remember
when
when.
it would happen. Generally, he would go away from where the rest of the people were. Amber would follow to comfort. Sometimes they wouldn't come back, sometimes they would.
And tell us about the next morning at Hicksville, what you saw and observed.
I went to the trailer to go knock on the door. I think they already left though.
Housefer says yes, she is on Amber's
Oh,
team. She
yeah.
made previous statements
Saw
for
that.
her and is compelled here. So
Disarray.
to stay
Describe the
consistent,
disarray as best you
she
can.
has to stay with her lies.
like I said yesterday, the light fixtures had been knocked off. Things were strewn about the trailer, cushions off the couch bank.
Whoever asked if they're wasting a lot of
Over the
time.
course of,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, they
this
are.
was 2003.
It's not
right?
worth it. It's not helping Amber at all.
Yes.
Well, I mean, she's already ruined,
Have you
so it
ever
doesn't
known
really
her
fucking
to-
matter, but
Not light fixtures off a wall.
She have a
No.
character of knocking light fixtures
Have
off
you
the
ever
wall.
known her to throw pillows and cushions off couches?
No.
Have you ever known her to get in a rage and destroy property?
No.
Have you ever known her to threaten someone's life?
No.
What did Amber tell you? Did you ever have a
Did you know her
conversation with
as a
Miss Heard
saint?
about what happened in that trailer in Hicksville?
Yes.
I'd like to fast forward a little bit in time, Miss Pennington, to and an episode that we talked about yesterday to some extent. Do you remember being with Amber after something that happened the day before she went on the James Corden show
reading.
in December 2015?
Yes.
What do you remember? And I know this is painful and emotional, but give
How
me
do you
your
know
best
it's
recollection
painful and
of
emotional?
what you recall
Bleeding.
from that time period.
From the night
Testifying
before.
to this stuff
You were
the day
were
before,
you with
without
Amber
crying
the night before
or
the
having a
James Corden
single
appearance?
emotion.
Yes.
And were you with her the day of the James Corden appearance?
Yes.
And did you observe Miss Heard and Miss Heard's residence the day before the James Corden appearance and the day of the James Corden appearance?
Yes.
So with that, tell me everything that you can remember, starting with the day before.
Yesterday,
And
she
I may
literally
interrupt you
didn't
and ask you
remember
to
taking the
clarify certain things,
pictures
but that's everything to remember.
with her phone.
So
It's because she's full of so much shit her ass could
she
talk.
asked me to come over to her residence, PH3 or PH5. I don't remember which one I entered. And
Runkle says the jurors look bored. Hopefully Runkle will be
She
able
was
to pop
very
in over
upset.
lunch.
her face was red, swollen. The
Is that
hair
from the
had,
alcohol?
been ripped out of her head. I went through all of the penthouse. She didn't cancel. I don't think I even slept that night. Watching her just to make sure she didn't.
You literally testified to this yesterday, which is in the same depot video.
Because you were worried she had a concussion.
Just watched it. And you had no emotion at
Yes.
all. God. Oh, it drives me crazy.
Why did
when
you
people-
tell her that you were going to go take pictures throughout the penthouses?
Why wouldn't I?
Why wouldn't I? I don't know. Why would you?
Hootie hoo.
Ms. Pennington, I'm gonna, you saw a few selected pictures yesterday. I'm gonna show you a number of pictures.
That you're not
Today,
gonna remember where it came from.
That we need to go through and,
Baby puppy.
Amber,
and
you
I'll
better
ask you
turn
some
on the
questions about it,
waterworks.
okay?
Okay, dear puppy.
Are you
You
able
should
to
send
see
it.
exhibit 15? Yeah, I can see it. Can you, Ms. Pennington?
Yes.
I'm just kidding. I know I don't really have any viewers, so I don't
Pennington, does
really have any
this, does this
feedback
picture-
from you.
Truly and accurately depict Ms. Heard's appearance December
It's very painful for me to look at this picture.
2015, during the night that you just discussed.
Yes.
Do you know whether or not you took this picture?
Did it look worse
I do
in
not.
person?
That you were with Miss Heard that evening after the incident?
It was.
What room was this taken in?
This is the bathroom of Johnny and Amber's bedroom in PH3.
Right, you need to go outside.
What injuries, if any, do you observe on Miss Heard in this picture?
Her right eye has a mark and a bruise. Her nose is swollen. There's bruising on her left eye as well.
And Exhibit 16 is up.
I mean, I guess.
What is this picture of Miss Pennington?
Here's a picture of Amber's face with bruising and a mark on her right eye, swelling on her nose, bruising on the left eye. In the same bathroom.
And when was this picture taken?
Let me increase the resolution here.
I assume the same night.
I'm not seeing
Is that the night in
swelling.
December
I'm seeing some
2015
darkness
that you've been
around
testifying
here.
about for the last few minutes?
I could see that maybe being dark, but that's
do you
not
see
swollen.
behind Miss Heard's left ear, there's a picture on the wall and then a writing a note above the picture?
Boobs on the wall.
Yes.
What is that note signed? If you can tell.
You're Steve.
To your understanding, who is Steve?
Johnny.
Was that note a lie, Miss Pennington?
And
In
where
your
does it say
opinion?
right above that?
It says, "You're Steve."
What's the line above that say?
Love you eternally. Why is this a thing? Who cares? What the fuck does this have to do with her testimony?
Eternally?
Yeah, I did. And I just
Some
researched.
all,
And I
something,
just tested it,
always,
so we're good.
3
The
exclamation
puppy was fine,
points.
So I was just looking for you. He's fine. I just didn't.
Love
oh,
you
she's fine. I didn't know
eternally,
if,
your
like, she was,
Steve.
looking just for me to hold her, but she was fine a lot.
And
She needs water. I don't mind holding her, but maybe like.
Steve in that note refers to the same man that
Can I just have some water?
Yeah.
For her?
She can't even read it.
you
She doesn't know what it
understood
says.
these injuries Miss Heard.
Shut the door.
Correct.
Say
Oh,
that.
I see.
Come on.
Thank you.
Does this picture
Yes,
truly
yes.
and accurately reflect
Bye.
what you observed on Miss Heard in that night in December
Adios.
2015?
Partially.
When you said partially, what do you mean by that?
You can't see the rest of the injuries.
I can't, really, frankly,
What
to
other
be honest,
injuries are you
Pumpkin,
referring to?
I can't see the first of the injuries.
The hair being pulled out.
Exhibit 17 is up.
She's taking
Why
her
does she
own
look so
hair down now.
disheveled now?
What is this picture of Miss Pennington?
Getting more disheveled by
Amber's
the minute.
face.
Ah, Nick, stealing my word. Are you
Turned
listening
a
to my
slight
stream?
profile. With a bruise on her eye.
It does not
So
look-
funny.
And when was this picture taken?
I was like, why does she look so disheveled? Nick says the same thing.
This
She's trying to
be
pull
the
her own hair
same
out. Like,
Night.
by the way, guys, my
No,
husband doesn't
the
want to come on
previous
camera,
two
but
pictures.
he looks like the
This
one and
picture
only
fairly
sexy
inaccurately
JD
depicts,
himself when he gets
At
cleaned
least
up
in
later.
part,
Maybe
Miss
we'll
Heard's
make it.
appearance on that night.
Her eyes are
We know who we are
always
going to be for
18 is
Halloween.
near here where she's not wearing makeup.
What is this document, Miss Pennington?
It's a photo
She's
of
crying.
Amber's face.
You just looked at these earlier in the depot. We watched.
2 black eyes. and swollen bottom lip.
That
Take this
lip ain't
photo.
swollen. It's normal with a
I don't
red
remember.
spot.
I
You
fucking
said a
love him.
swollen nose.
I love niggas with a
Did she say a swollen nose?
No.
She said two black guys and a swollen lip.
Does this picture fairly and accurately depict, at least in part, Miss Heard's appearance on that night in December 15, 2015?
Remember that
Yeah.
the jury,
Yes.
if they even care, are looking at this going,
Did you take pictures of Miss Heard that night?
she looks like she just didn't sleep.
Yes.
She got 4 hours of sleep. That's how I look. Bags under my eyes.
Took this picture.
Should I erase notes for you
I
guys
don't know.
later? I have an idea, by the way.
You don't even know if you took the picture.
Play some drinking games later tonight.
But in any event, it accurately reflects what Miss Heard's appearance from that evening.
Yeah, totally. I don't remember if I took it or where it was. or
Let me
whatever
mute
it
my
was.
mic. I'm sorry. One
It's
sec.
true.
Exhibit 19 is up.
Oh, she can't even take it.
And I'm sorry this is so hard, Miss Pennington.
Oh, this is.
She smiled at
We
this.
just need to get through is,
Yeah.
Oh my
Best we can.
God.
what is this picture?
Anyone who's actually seen
Amber's face.
domestic abuse
Her
photos
profile.
looks at this and goes, what is hard about this?
Showing more of her bottom bloody lip and her right.
Looks like
booty
she
spot.
peeled something off, ladies. Have y'all ever done like a
And
lip scrub or had a burnt
What
lip
night does this- or
or
when
eat something
this
too hot,
show Amber.
cold sore? There's
It
so
appears
many
to be
things.
The same night and the same series of photos.
And why is there no marking, no redness around
Where was
this
this picture taken?
portion
if
of
you
her
know?
face?
Oh, it's in the bedroom, facing the.
So she
she's
knows
sitting on
where
the
it's
bed and
taken, but she
facing
doesn't
the,
know who took it?
windows.
Was anyone with you and Amber that night after you came over?
No, I don't think so, no.
So is it fair to assume that either you or Amber took this picture?
Yes.
Well, duh.
Does it look like Miss Heard took this picture?
No.
Yes.
Do you recall taking this picture?
I took a lot of pictures. It would be. Yes.
If somebody else was taking your picture, wouldn't
Yes,
your
are you
natural
sure?
inclination to be looking at them
Miss
to make
Heard's
sure?
Lower lip looked like it's
Or would you
just
be
chapped.
posing?
No, it does not.
Have any of y'all done modeling?
What does it
she
look
just has a
like?
cold sore?
Looks like she's
It
posing.
does not look like a cold sore.
A selfie.
Exhibit 20 is up.
I've never bought
What
the
is this a
cold sore
picture
thing.
of?
To me, it looks
Pennington?
like a ripped.
What's
chapped,
that?
Like a ripped chapped lip.
This is a picture
That you
of
squeeze some
the
blood out of.
What is that?
Amber's hairline. A scratch injury on the hairline,
Looks like she scratched
my
her own
thumb.
hair.
holding the hair.
I don't
back
even see the
so that
scratch.
you
I said
can
it looks
see
like a scratch. I don't see a scratch. Y'all see scratches?
Does this picture depict marks that you saw on Amber on the night in December
Yeah.
2015
Provigil dries you
that we've
out,
been
by the way.
discussing?
Someone in the chat mentioned that. She uses
Or the
Provigil
next
dry lips.
morning.
Yeah, and she's got to take all that makeup off and all
Yeah.
this on and off and off and treatments, lip scrubs. Look, I've got lip scrub right here.
And
Some
after
basic
drinking,
St. Ives stuff.
Lucas, if you could just go back.
Come
really
on,
quickly
dude.
to the last picture,
These girls are, they
please.
think they're
Pennington
creative.
19.
They think they're smart.
I may have asked you this, Ms. Pennington, but I just want to make clear for the record, does this picture fairly and accurately depict Ms. Heard's appearance on that night in December 15, 2015 that we've been discussing?
Yes.
Exhibit 21 is up.
What is this a picture of, Ms. Pennington?
This is a close-up picture.
It's like another selfie.
Of the side of Amber's nose and mouth.
The grievous injury to her lip.
Oh.
Did you take Go ahead. Go
Can
ahead.
you auto-tune yourself
She
crying?
has a
You can.
swelling and an injury on her bottom lip.
I
Are
wish
there any
Amber
other
could do a
injuries
real good ugly cry like that.
you
We might
observed?
actually believe her.
In this picture?
And see, you could see at the top of the photo, bruising on her eye and the small mark underneath her bottom eyelid.
This,
Heard,
that's a,
That's a bruise.
That's
Look at that's called
does she typically
rosacea,
have
honey.
that small mark underneath her eye or bruising around her eyes?
I got bruised.
Did not
I got
usually
punched
have
by
that
Johnny Depp
small
right there
mark.
with all 10
what is
rings.
the small mark from?
bruising underneath her eyes.
My God.
Did
What
she
by the
typically
nose?
have
Is that
injuries
also
to her lip?
an injury? Come on.
Sometimes.
Notice you can see all her pores.
And over the course of your
There's no makeup on her at
friendship
all.
with Miss Heard during the time that she was in a relationship with Mr. Depp, how often would you all communicate?
Sorry, can you repeat that question?
During the time that Miss Heard was in a relationship with Mr. Depp, how often would you communicate with Miss Heard? Like every day?
When she was filming, less. When she was home, all the time.
You guys have got to check out Uncivil Law last
And you just
night.
testified,
I know him
believe
and
it
Nick
wasn't
were
the only incident in which you observed
competing about their
injuries to Miss Heard's face or lips. correct?
viewers and stuff, but that's hilarious. He made
Correct.
some really
Were there
interesting
any other
points.
times that you observed injuries to Miss Heard's face or lips?
Yes.
Exhibit 22 is up.
What is this a picture of, Miss Bennington?
Picture is hair pulled back to show the abrasion on the scalp where hair
The
has been removed.
abrasion now.
Whose head is that?
That's Amber's head.
Was this, do you know when this picture was taken?
Either the night of the event or the next day.
You just
And
looked
by
at this
event,
picture.
you're
the day
referring
before.
to the event in December 2015 that we've been talking about?
Yes.
Yeah, if Amber Heard
Do you
actually
recall
has a
taking this
skin
picture, Miss
condition,
Bennington, of Miss Heard's scalp?
these blemishes and discolorations would
Yes.
be normal. Again,
Is
it
this
almost looks like a
picture fairly
ringworm.
inaccurately depict the top of Miss Heard's scalp?
But as someone who
Um,
gets really dry scalps in the summer, kind of looks like that.
During the day of or at the day
I
after
agree,
the
I
December
concur.
2015 incident that you've
Seasonal
been giving
changes.
testimony about?
Yes.
Exhibit 23 is up.
What is this a picture of, Miss Bennington?
There's a picture of a clump of Amber's hair on the black carpet bedroom, PH4, with my finger there to show the
You know that's
scale
her
of the
finger.
hair.
Did you take this picture?
Yes.
When did you take this picture?
Either the night of the event, the December, the occurrence that we've been talking about.
In December of 2015?
Yes.
And how did you know that that was Amber's hair?
Hair had been ripped out of her head. This is the color of her hair. It's her home.
Okay. How is that her hair? People are there all the time. She has dogs.
And this, you said, was in the bedroom of Penthouse 5?
4.
Have you ever known Miss Heard to pull out clumps of her own hair?
No.
Miss Heard ever
You sure?
paint on bruises or use makeup to make it appear as if she had a bruise when in fact she didn't?
I would definitely not have asked the last two questions.
No, the opposite.
I legit
What
haven't
do you
even
mean
thought
when
of
you
her
say the
pulling out her
opposite?
own hair.
She often had to cover bruises and injuries on her
Come here,
face
baby.
with makeup.
Come here.
Did you see her cover bruises on her face with makeup?
Yes.
Can we pull up the document titled December 2015 ALH 28_B, please? What is this picture, Ms. Pennington?
Is a picture of Amber. She has a small mark underneath her right eye. She's her coat and her shirt on. They're in the kitchen. She's in the kitchen.
Amber,
Page
oh,
3.
there it is.
There's her tear. First tear.
Amber's squeezing him out. She's crying now.
I'm starting a tear
Everybody's
counter.
Do you know when or approximately when this picture was taken?
Yeah, can we talk about that calendar behind her? Have we?
The day following the December event or the day after, maybe. I don't know exactly when.
And
So no is the answer.
did you take this picture?
I don't know.
Does it fairly and accurately depict Amber's appearance on the day you described?
She doesn't even know what day it was.
On one of the days following, yes.
Exhibit 25 is up.
Do you know what this is a picture of, Ms. Pennington?
This is a picture of the nightstand on the right side of the bed in Johnny and Amber's bedroom in PH3. It has a lamp that's fallen down, a book of rolling papers, half a lemon, plastic coffee mug of Infinitum Nihil, which is Johnny's production company, a bottle of Tums, a bottle of tea, broken glass, and a small blue book on the floor that I can't make out what that is.
Did you ever know Amber to break glass next to her bed?
No,
Do you ever know Amber to break glass? I think we have
What's your
evidence
knowledge
of
about
her breaking
Mr.
glass elsewhere. I can't
tendency
remember
to
though.
break things made of glass?
my knowledge is that I saw him do it once, and then I saw
The
the aftermath of
The
him
aftermath.
breaking glass many times.
Oh, hey, we got something useful
And
happening.
on that evening in December 2015, did you see that we've been discussing? Did
Welcome
you see
to
broken
hell.
glass around?
Just more of this, huh? Is this Rocky still?
Yep.
Rocky Pennington,
Yes.
yeah, still. It's her second day.
Let's go to the
They're
now.
wasting
December
so much
2015
fucking time.
ALH _509_B.
She had it up, then she pulled
You've
it
seen
down,
this
she put
picture
it back
before.
up.
What's this a picture of, Ms. Pennington?
She's an amateur.
This is a picture of the platform bed in the
So
bedroom.
this is day 2 of her
Penthouse
deposition.
4.
Like,
The
She came
edge
back
of
for
the
the other
platform
side.
bed has a shard
and
of
she's now been
wood
crying
that is
through all the
broken
stuff that she
onto the
testified
floor.
to emotionless the day before.
Did you take this picture?
Yes.
When did
It's
you take
driving
it?
me nuts.
Either the night of the event or the next day.
And when you say event, what are you referring to?
The December 15th event that we've been speaking about.
You said December 15th. You mean December 2015?
Yes, sorry, 2015.
Where is this bed in the residence?
This is in the penthouse floor. It's the middle penthouse between the main residence, PH3,
You get
Amber's closet, PH5. This is the
Law and Lumber
one
does
of the
this
rooms
better.
that you walk through.
I can't
to
wait.
food
Get him
is
on.
not shredding off a
to
piece
go
of bed
through
unless it is
the upper story of the homes.
pre-existingly cracked like that.
Have you ever known Miss Heard to destroy a bed frame?
Yeah.
Have you ever known? Go ahead. Sorry.
She must not be very good in bed then.
No,
Have you ever
Autopilot
known
says,
Miss Heard to destroy furniture generally?
no.
Ms. Pennington, in all the photos that you
I'll get this chat in a minute.
um,
Don't remember taking.
have taken of evidence or incidents or the aftermath of incidents between Amber and Johnny, have you ever done anything to alter those photos or, make them appear to depict something that wasn't actually there or wasn't actually real?
No.
Never.
I've never edited a photo
No.
in my life.
I
don't even
want to
know
talk
how.
about the day of the Late Late Show. When I say that, do you understand I'm referring to Amber's appearance on the James Corden show,
Yes.
the Late Late Show with James Corden?
Say it again. Are you sponsored?
Were you with Amber when she got ready for her appearance on that show?
Yes.
Who else was present?
A deer that who's her hairstylist.
Oh, a deer.
Melanie,
Not like
her
a
makeup
deer, like
artist,
Bambi.
and Samantha, her stylist.
Were you there when her hair and makeup was being styled or put on before her appearance on James Corden?
Yes.
Did you see anyone paint on a wound on her lip or put makeup on her face to make it appear that there was a wound on her lip?
Today's luck, huh?
Yeah.
Did
It's
you
the best
observe
look objectively by
anyone
miles.
ripping lumps or her hair out of her head?
No.
Ms. Pennington, did you to the extent that it's alleged that Ms. Heard had no injuries when she went on the James Corden show, what is your reaction to that?
My reaction is that is a false assessment or statement.
And what's the basis for that testimony?
I saw the injury.
Because I saw injuries on her body from the time directly after they happened throughout the next night, the next day, and as they continued to heal.
In the time that you spent with Johnny, did he ever express a similar sentiment that he was screw up or fuck up, in his words?
Yes.
And what did you tell me what you can remember about the instances when he said that and what your understanding was of what he meant?
My understanding was that he was sorry and apologetic, and
What was he sorry for? Beating her mercilessly.
for his behavior.
When you say behavior, what are you referring to?
Verbal arguments, physical arguments.
They're never specific.
That was what he made clear to you in things that he
Is that
said
like sign
to you.
language?
Everything is so
Alright.
ambiguous.
Yeah.
What, for punching her in the
What
mouth
he made
with a
clear
handful of rings?
in our conversations
My
was
favorite
that
was when he asked
he
earlier,
was very sorry
or
and that he
Camille asked her earlier,
was working
did you ever see her
to
or
get
Johnny
clean
Depp
and
physically
get better.
attack her? And she's like, yes.
He was asking
When?
for
What do you mean by physically attack?
forgiveness.
Did you ever see him hit her?
Trying
No.
to.
Throw something at her? No. Kick her? No.
Hey, Nick, either you're a little quiet or she's a little
I
loud.
think that he was.
I don't know if you
Probably
like that
both.
way.
She's
Just
pretty
give me a heads
loud,
up.
which is good for once.
Did you ever see him get better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When?
So is there an explanation for all these,
A lot of
video
times.
depositions instead of having these people on the witness stand?
But did you ever see him get
Virginia-
better permanently?
Virginia does not have a power to compel
No.
appearance for out-of-state witnesses.
Your Honor,
But they
at
can
this
compel
point, we
deposition.
start questioning Ms. Pennington about May 21st. We're happy to keep going, but if you wanted to take a break, I think we're about halfway through this volume.
Okay, let's go ahead and take our morning
Yes,
recess for 15
volume.
minutes. Again, do not discuss the case with anybody and don't do any outside research, okay?
Apparently, the UFC Raquel Pennington just roasted this Raquel Pennington on Twitter.
Oh, we live in an amazing world.
Let's see. Raquel Pennington. Oh, she just said, this chick messing up a great name. It's got a picture of her. That's good. That's good stuff. So how's it going, man? Welcome.
Good.
Well, now we get to listen to some interesting
be in and out tonight. I've
commentary
got a
while they go
webinar
to
I'm doing.
recess.
Yeah, that's right.
My time.
That's right.
Let me see if I can
Whew.
get over here and mute this. So
Yeah, so
this was really interesting. They're gonna go to recess for 15-minute break, which just means bathroom break, and then we'll be back in 15. So I'm gonna use this also as a chance to step away for a minute.
well, I mean, the timestamp in her outfit changed. So the next day for Rottenborn to start questioning her
back to
Do
the
you know what penthouse
stream.
that is in?
Can you hear
Can you
me
zoom out
now?
a bit, please?
All right, there we go.
3.
If I mute my mic,
Who,
or if I
do you know who knocked this picture on the floor?
stop my cam,
Did you witness it being knocked on the floor?
I didn't see it knocked down.
Okay, no.
Did
all right, good.
Her video doesn't seem slow.
You
She
guys
seems
can
slow.
still
other than
Here?
Mr. Depp, did you see anyone causing any damage or knocking anything down in any of the penthouses on May 21st, 2016?
No.
Well, she didn't see anybody do most of this.
And did you see Mr. Depp knocking things down?
Some
Yes.
things as he was leaving.
Does this picture fairly and accurately describe something that you observed on May 21st, 2016?
Yes.
Okay. Can you describe, did you see any injuries on Amber on May 21st, 2016?
Why these long pauses?
All right, guys, we'll be back.
Just a swollen, like red swollen cheek.
I mean, she knows why she's here, right?
Let's pull up the
I'm
May
not
21st,
sure.
2016 ALH 7077, please. And while he's doing that,
Look at all-
observations you made of Miss Heard on May 21st, 2016? Observations you made of Miss Heard.
42 is up.
What is this picture, Miss Pennington?
Again,
This is Amber's face.
I think women who have been abused look at this and go,
Right cheek and eye is
I wish.
more red and swollen. Her right left.
Does this fairly and accurately depict Miss Heard's condition that you observed that evening?
Yes.
Can you pull up 7083, please? What is this picture of?
This is Amber's face turned at a slight profile. Her eye is red and bruised.
Really?
The side, the side brow, temple, and cheekbone.
Does this fairly and accurately depict
Look in your room. Let's go.
Miss Heard's condition that you witnessed on May 21st, 2016?
Yes.
And were you present when police arrived?
Yes.
What?
These would be the police, including female officers who saw no sign of domestic violence.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who interviewed her in
What
private?
penthouse did they come in?
The female officer.
Penthouse 3 both times.
How close were you to the police officer?
In the same room.
Could you see damage that he had caused while you were standing there when the police officers were present?
Yes.
Did you ever hear Miss Heard say, express any financial motivations for wanting to remain in this relationship with Mr. Depp?
No.
Did Miss Heard ever express that if she went public against, with what happened on May 21st, 2016, that she stood to gain financially from doing so?
No.
Just go, finish. Jerk off Juggernaut says I'd smash Rocky,
You know,
but it looks like the job's already been done.
At some
or is it
point
just makeup?
after May 21st, 2016, Ms. Heard filed for divorce from Mr. Depp, right?
Correct.
And at some point she filed for a domestic violence restraining order against him. Is that right?
Yes.
And I'm gonna come back to that line of questioning in a second, but before I forget, you mentioned Jerry and Sean Depp on the night of May 21st, right? Was there a space in the floor of the ECB where they would wait for Mr. Depp when he was in one of the penthouses?
Yes.
And what was that space?
We called it the guard shack, and it was a vestibule separate from the penthouses, except that a door from the vestibule also connected to the door of the patio of PH5.
Was the was it if someone were in the vestibule or the guard shack, as you called it, would they have seen you go into penthouse 3 when Amber requested that you do so?
No.
Did you see Jerry or Sean or any security guards when you entered penthouse 3 that evening?
No.
Okay. Going back to the domestic violence restraining order, did you accompany Ms. Heard to court when she got that order?
Yes.
I'd like you to pull up, please, May 2016, Court Pennington 1292, please. And while he's doing that, do you know if Ms. Heard wore any makeup that morning?
She did not.
I don't remember seeing her put on any makeup.
Was that rare for Ms. Heard not to wear makeup?
Yes.
What is this a picture of?
This is Amber and Jody, her publicist, sitting on the bench in the hallway waiting room of the courthouse.
When?
The day that the restraining order was filed.
Do you see any injuries on Ms. Heard?
I do.
Describe what you see.
On
A
her
zit.
cheek,
A big
bone,
fucking zit on her cheek.
right cheekbone is
Oh,
bruised.
this drives me nuts. That doesn't look like a bruise. It looks like a zit. Why is it raised up? Why is it in a little tiny
And
spot?
how long after May 21st?
Because she's holding her stomach too. She's like, whoa, whoa.
I don't know.
Looks like my youngest when she learned she's not getting dessert because she didn't eat her dinner.
Maybe she just got out of Planned Parenthood.
Less than a week.
Did you ever see any makeup artist paint on this bruise? Put a fake bruise on Ms. Heard's face?
No.
Can you please pull up Pennington 1295, please? And before we do, does this picture fairly and accurately depict Ms. Heard's condition the morning or the day she applied for the domestic violence restraining order?
Do you know anyone else
Yes.
who's ever gotten a domestic violence restraining
Do
order?
you know whether you took this picture?
Do you know if it's common for them to take a bunch of pictures while
To
they're
the best
waiting
of
in
my
the hallway
recollection,
next
I
to their
took
publicist?
And I'm going to ask you the same thing about this next picture, 1295.
That's To the best of my recollection, I took that.
I have a
Didn't it
zit
come out
just like that. I'll show you after
yesterday
lunch.
that she was banging
point.
James Franco the night before this? Maybe that's why her stomach hurts.
They were
Maybe you
just
got up in them guts.
little rearranging was going on.
Like, look at it. It's like one of those old infomercials where they went to the starving African children and they're like, look hungrier so we can raise more money.
What is that a picture of?
It is Amber at a slate profile in the same courthouse looking around. Her hair is behind her ear. You can see a picture of a bruise on her cheekbone. She looks like a skeleton.
Oh, Johnny Depp did that to
Take
her?
this picture
He punched her thin?
Again,
based on your personal knowledge.
beat
Is there
the fat
any
right off
truth
of
to
her.
the allegation that Amber did this because she's, quote, a gold digger?
No.
Ms. Pennington, you came to understand at some point, at some point, did you learn that Mr. Depp had lost the tip of his finger in Australia?
how did you learn?
Yes.
Through hearsay?
And what is that other way that you learned that Mr. Depp had cut the tip of his finger off?
He showed it to me.
In addition to showing you, how did you learn from Mr. Depp that he had cut off the tip of his own finger?
He told me.
What did he tell you?
Said, I don't remember how he said he cut the tip of his finger off, but while the nurse was dressing it, I wanted to see it. I also had a very small injury on the tip of my finger. And I continued to see it throughout its healing process, but I don't remember how he told me how he cut it off.
But you remember that he told you that he cut it off.
Yes.
Ms. Pennington, I'll finish where we started, which is you've given a number of you've testified a number of times about the events that we talked about today, and I really appreciate you being here today and talking about these. I know it was tough and it was emotional at times. Is there anything that you would change about any of the testimony that you've given today or previously about any of these events?
No.
And you've done your best every time you've testified about this to tell the full truth about everything that you know, everything that you saw, everything that you heard, everything that you've observed, right?
You're really,
I've done
really
my very
super
best
serious,
to
right?
tell the absolute truth, exactly as I remember it, at all of the points of time.
All right. Yes, sir. Your next witness?
Yes, Your Honor. That
Oh.
concludes the testimony of Raquel Pennington. Ms. Hurd calls Joshua Drew as her next witness.
Okay.
By
And
video
if we may
deposition.
approach just to discuss a
All
couple
right.
exhibits.
And that's by deposition, is that correct?
It is by deposition,
All right.
yes, Your Honor.
How could you couldn't get any of these people to show up? I think that's actually a really powerful statement that the jury is going to be is likely thinking about here. Like, Johnny had people show up. Isaac Baruch showed up. He was there to testify on Johnny's behalf. They can't get these people in court. Why? I would be so curious as a juror. Why the hell aren't these people here? Why do I have to watch a video?
And it's such a painful process. I mean, listen, at least you and I can hop on my browser and download an Audible book for my next motorcycle trip. You know, I can tell a joke. The jurors just have to sit there and watch this.
You could listen to an Audible book for your next motorcycle trip. You can listen to an Audible book list of books for your next motorcycle trips. And it'd still be more interesting than what this video deposition is. They're stuck there in that jury box just going, when is lunch? When is lunch? These These people cannot even come in to support her. That would, oh God. Like I would have begged, as counsel, I would have begged Rocky Pennington to be there in person. Please come in and testify to this violence that you saw. You're our only witness who
If it
saw
was
this
true.
stuff. Right.
Right. But it's not true. So, I mean, just imagine what Cross would be like. So you see this
Oh, yeah.
picture. Did you see Johnny do this? Did you see Johnny do that? Did you see Johnny do this, that, the other thing? All of it's going to be no, 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 no.
You mentioned long, bloody strands of hair, didn't you? Yeah, it was horrible. Looking at this picture, where's the blood? You don't see any blood, do you? Because there wasn't any blood, was there? No, there was. Are you alleging that the blood has been cleaned off? Like what? So there was blood, but the camera just didn't get it then, did it? No, there's blood. I can see it. You can't see any blood. No one can see any blood. Oh gosh, it just drives me nuts. I can't, but I still think like you should have that rather than the video depositions. They're awful. At least a jury would listen. Let me get to where my chat window was. Here we go. Where were we? My window reset, that's why. Sorry, guys. Here we go. Matthew Perkins emailed you a leftist copium article that makes some bold assumptions about the legal validity of the case. How this is an example for abusers to further abuse and protected speech. Would love to hear your thoughts on it. Well, there's a very simple answer to all of this, and always. Defamation is not protected speech under the First Amendment. It is not. It is not. It is, and just look at it. If you're Johnny Depp, would you rather be punched in the face by Mike Tyson or defamed by Amber Heard? And any sane person would take defamed by Amber Heard 10 days out of 10. Or, I mean, punched in the face by Mike Tyson. Punched in the face by Mike Tyson 10 days out of 10. Even with the risk of death, because he's going to get over the punch. But if Mike Tyson punched Johnny Depp in the face, he would go to prison. Amber Heard will never go to prison for what she did to him. Defamation is not protected speech. It is an assault on your right. It is assault on your reputations. It is violence in every sense of the word. It is assault on your economic status.
Yeah,
your ability
it's arson of your reputation.
So it's crazy. So no, it's not protected speech. I know people are like, oh, you're for free speech, then why do you support defamation laws? Like, well, because they're a violation of the other person's property rights, which we don't allow. That's just, it's not acceptable to use a lie to cause damage to someone else. Now, if she didn't defame him, then it's protectable speech. He's alleging defamation. I'm kind of seeing defamation, so I'm going with not protected. But as far as example for abusers to further abuse, abused victims would pay money to be abused in the way that Amber Heard is alleging Johnny abused her, much less the practical reality of what happened. She's not going to the dentist to have reconstructive dental surgery. She's not showing up to kids' soccer practices having to wear sunglasses the whole time. There's barely any even alleged signs of physical abuse on this woman. And when you see the outcomes, again, there are women who would pay to not have to go out in public the way they do and to go out the way Amber had to suffer.
I mean, years of abuse, supposedly, right? So many punches by the ring-covered fist that she couldn't even keep count, bottles in the vajayjay. And the only photo she has is an apparent pimple on her face.
Yeah. I mean, that's it. She should be cut. She should have had a hospital stay of some sort, checked out. She should have felt like she needed to be checked out like a doctor and maybe couldn't get there, but she could. She had all the resources in the world to do any of this. Again, actual prisoners of domestic violence are terrified all the time of this stuff. They can't get out of it. God, it drives me crazy. Gonfall, the way she tilts her head while she's acting sad for Amber is a posture.
Miss Heard calls Joshua Drew.
that is usually overly amplified to emphasize empathy. It is hilarious how fake this woman is. I usually see this from women manipulated.
Los Angeles. What is your occupation? I run my own hospitality development consulting firm. Are you anymore? What, if any, education have you had since high school? I have my associates of science in culinary arts.
It looks like they set them up to be in the green screen.
Did you receive
The gray.
I did. In what year?
It's like, are they doing this in the
Loading
Glamour
head.
Shot
Who's
studio?
Raquel Rose Pennington? My ex-wife. Because I want to be respectful, how should I refer to her? Ms. Pennington, Rocky, or Raquel? Rocky or Raquel is perfectly fine. You were married to Rocky, so there came a time when you began to date.
I said Rocky or Raquel.
When
as
did you
one word.
start dating Rocky? It would have been June of 2014.
It's like a budget Nick Offerman.
Engaged to Rocky. Correct. When was that? That would have been in summer of
Like the stunt double
15.
in a bad high school video.
Do you recall?
Nick
when you
Offerman
were
had
divorced
sex with the guy from Epic
Officially
Mealtime, and
September
this is what
24th of
came out.
Last year, we separated officially October of the previous year. When did you first meet Amber Heard? Probably about 3 or 4 weeks after Raquel and I started dating, very early on. When did you first meet?
He sounds
Johnny?
like Patrick Bateman from American Psycho.
Shortly after I met Amber, I want to say, if memory serves, about 5 or 6 weeks after Raquel and I started dating. Again, I understand it was a long time ago, but do you recall under what circumstances you met him? Funny enough, I actually do very clearly. I had come over under the auspice of what was called Family Movie Night, and it was Amber and Johnny and Jack. I honestly don't remember whether Lily Rose was there. She might have come later.
I need this guy to tell me about Huey Lewis in the
and it was
news right
just
now.
us in their apartment, eating burgers and watching movies. Since that time, on how many occasions have you seen and interacted with Johnny Depp from that very first time on movie night? I couldn't even speculate the number of. It's not that it was infrequent so much as it was.
You just know nothing.
And
Nothing's coming from this guy. Nothing.
Not the kind of thing.
All
where you
right,
just
let's
count the
see.
number of
Can you
times.
hear
It
me?
was regular interactions over various periods of time.
People keep comparing him to the quartering, and someone said, my fiance is under attack.
You to get a range. Is it more than 10 times? Yes. More than 50 times? Yes. From the time that you first met Mr. Depp on movie night until this very moment sitting here today, have you
Alright,
ever
can
seen
anybody
Mr.
hear
Depp
me?
strike Amber Heard? No. Have you ever seen him throw a telephone at her? No. Have you ever
Perfect. All right.
seen
You guys have a
him
minute.
hit her with a fist? No. Have you ever lived at a building located at 849 South Broadway in Los Angeles known as the Eastern Columbia Building? Correct.
Another
Did you
dude
live
Johnny paid
in a
for
condo
his life.
known as Penthouse One? Correct.
Here, have $1.5 million condo
With
to
whom
live in for
did
free.
you live in Penthouse One?
Did you at least paint creepy art for Johnny?
When to when did you live in Penthouse One with Rocky Pennington? Again, my memory is a little bit foggy of exact dates.
All these broken relationships, it
Bear
just
with
makes
me
me
a
think
minute
of, Amber Heard just leads a wave of destruction everywhere she goes.
So
Yeah.
while I was a frequent guest, I didn't actually live there until I want to say about October or November of 2015. Was Rocky already living in Penthouse One when you started visiting and ultimately moved in there? Yes. Did Ms. Pennington move into Penthouse One in or about June of 2014? I couldn't tell you with any specificity, but I believe it's around that time frame. Who owned
Those are the
Penthouse
eyes of a
One
man
at
who
the
has
time?
slain
Johnny Depp.
packages after
Well,
packages of
you
Twinkies.
and Rocky lived together in Penthouse
Plus he got the
One.
McDonald's and he just when they stopped serving
Or she
breakfast.
have a key that allowed you access to all of the penthouses on that floor? Everything except PH2, yes.
It's like it's 1 minute past 10 a.m.
Did at the
I want
time,
that left.
did
Isn't
Mr.
that the
Depp
background they
and
use for
Ms.
school photos?
Heard live together
Yes.
in PH3? Sporadically, yes. The key to which you and Rocky had
Probably
access
blame it on Johnny. Did Johnny model this tape
enter PH3?
in a drunken stupor?
Did it? Who was in PH5 at the time? Nobody. Nobody lived in PH5 for the entirety of our time there. Did you
No one could.
or Rocky ever pay Mr. Depp
It's a
any
cold
rent to live
house.
in PH1?
Offered and refused
Did you consider the refusal of your offer to be a generous gesture by Mr. Depp?
exceedingly.
In your experience, is Mr. Depp generally generous to his friends?
Yes.
Is he generous to people generally?
Yes.
Did Mr. Depp own Penthouse 5?
Yes.
Would
They
your
should have
kid
set the
own
camera to
Penthouse 5?
Yes.
zoom in on him over the
When
course of the
you and
entire
Rocky were
deposition,
living
just
here,
really
Penthouse
slowly, so you don't notice it for like
The head
30
bigger
minutes.
and bigger.
There were
Till the end, it's just a nostril talking.
standing outside the door of Penthouse 3 when Mr. Depp was in Penthouse 3.
Not normally, no.
Did you ever see the security personnel standing outside of his door?
On very rare occasion. Normally they were in a storage room off to the side of PH5.
Moving aside from Mr. Bett and Mr. Judge, while you stayed at the East Columbia building, did you come to know any of the employees of the building?
Casually.
Who is
I
Trinity?
don't even know where he bought that really
She's
unfortunate
one
shirt.
of the front desk people.
That's just not a flattering look.
Communications with
Not good
her?
at all.
In the course of living there, yes.
Did you find her to
I had
be
jersey
pleasant?
knit bed
No.
sheets for a while. That looks like the
How was
same
she?
material,
She
but
was
in a
not
button up.
particularly polite or
It's
accommodating.
weird. Yeah, it's like a jersey and then it has a button-down collar.
Friends. I wasn't there specifically, but I heard
Flings around that belly bump, the baby bump there.
throughout the course of our time there.
While you lived
Hey,
in
that baby bump
Penthouse
is the
1,
bane of my existence right
did you
now.
have the opportunity to interact often with Amber Heard?
Yes,
Did you and Rocky see Ms. Heard frequently?
yes,
Did you ever see her drinking alcohol?
yes,
Looks like an ISIS video.
Did you ever see her drink to excess?
yes,
Did you observe Amber Heard during her wedding to Mr. Depp? at
I'll
the
define
Opera House?
excess. Thank you very much.
yes,
Is she a woo girl when she
Was
drinks
she
to excess?
intoxicated at any time during the wedding weekend?
yes,
Most of it.
as were we all.
Did you ever
As
hear
were we all.
at any time Amber Heard yell at Mr. Depp?
Yes,
On how many occasions?
Incessantly for 4 years.
Did you ever see
There's a
her
lot.
strike Mr. Depp?
no,
Did you and Rocky ever discuss the relationship between Amber Heard and Johnny Depp?
yes,
On how many occasions?
honestly, probably hundreds, if not thousands.
Mr. Drew, moving to April 21, 2016, do you recall that there was to have been a birthday celebration that night?
Yes,
Was that Amber Heard's birthday?
yes,
Do you recall which birthday it was for her, how old she was?
it was her 30th.
It's almost like if they opened up the Zoom here, you'd see his feet in a bucket of water and like jumper cables attached to his junk.
I recall it was held in PH5. Johnny was
So carefully
hourly,
now.
and Amber spent the better part of the evening making excuses for him. And he came
Just
very
off screen is like an old dentist chair.
intoxicated
Is it safe?
and put on a show for everybody. And when the party was over, everybody left, cleaned up, and the next morning we heard.
I feel like this
about
guy
what
has gone to 8 costume
So
parties
Johnny
as
was supposed
Chewbacca.
to have attended the dinner, correct?
Correct.
And at what time did the dinner begin?
I don't recall.
You and Rocky were guests at the dinner?
Correct.
Who else was invited to the
Be
dinner?
quiet.
Um,
Why?
Again, you'll have to forgive me. It was
We're
quite some time
still
ago.
in the
I
foundation
remember
part. Nothing
Amber's
interesting's
friend
happening.
Brandon being there. Amber's friend Iggy, a rabbi. I want to say that Whitney was there as well. To be very honest, I can't say with specificity who else was there.
When you say Whitney, are you referring to Whitney Heard?
Correct.
Is Whitney Heard Amber's younger sister?
Correct.
Putting aside the state or condition in which Johnny arrived, do you recall sitting here today approximately when Johnny arrived for dinner?
I really couldn't tell you with any specificity, but I can say it was quite a few hours after the party had started.
Did he provide any excuse or explanation to the group as to why he was late?
No.
Putting aside Mr. Depp's intake of alcohol that evening, Had Miss Heard been drinking before Mr. Depp arrived?
Yes,
Do you know how much?
couldn't tell you.
Did she seem intoxicated at any time during the evening?
Yes,
Would you measure the amount in
Did you
glasses
see
or in
Amber
full
Heard the
containers?
next morning, April 22nd, 2016?
I believe so, yes.
Did you notice any marks on her face or elsewhere that morning?
I don't recall.
That morning, April 22nd, did you and Ms. Pennington and Amber Heard drive together to Coachella?
They did, I did not.
Are you still in contact with Amber Heard?
Sporadically, yes.
Like when I'm called for a deposition.
Like when she stops by the Games by James that I work at and I tell her about Twilight Imperium and how cool it is.
Just to be clear, and I'm sorry to jump around, when you say strike that. You say sporadically, how frequently were you in contact with her?
We did speak for about 2 years following my divorce, and she reached out to me to make amends about, I want to say about 2 months ago, if memory serves.
I'm going to come back to that.
So
When you
shortly
said
before this deposition.
you don't recall seeing marks on the morning of April 22nd, is that because you didn't see any marks on Miss Heard, or you didn't see her at all that morning?
I honestly don't recall the state of her the next morning. If memory serves, it was that the girls were hustling to get everything together to go out to Coachella, so it was a pretty frantic morning. I couldn't say with any specificity whether I interacted with her that morning before they departed.
And Mr. Drew, you said that Ms. Heard reached out to you. When did she reach out to you?
Sometime in the last 2 months.
What did she say when she reached out to you?
To paraphrase, it was something akin to,
Remember that time Johnny beat me?
her and Raquel hadn't spoken in some time, and to tell me that she loved me and that she missed me and she just wanted to make amends and, reconnect.
Did she mention anything about this lawsuit?
Not in the initial interaction.
That would be a yes.
Did you respond to her in this initial interaction when she said she wanted to make amends?
I didn't for some time. I think I waited about a week and a half before I responded, and before I could, I did get a note from her letting me know that she had tried to keep me out of it, but more than likely people were going to be contacting me either about being deposed or a statement of some kind. There was nothing explicit about whom it would be coming from, whether it was from Johnny's side or from her side, only that somebody would more than likely be reaching out to me.
And when you had a glass of wine, again, only lawyers remember these things, but do you recall approximately when you had a glass of wine with her?
Probably about 5 or 6 weeks ago. Oh, I'm sorry, it would be longer than that, probably about 2 months ago.
Mr. Drew, let's please change subjects and move to.
I would stay on that subject. That subject was really interesting to me.
Referenced previously.
Let's talk more about your
Was
communications
Mr.
with Amber
Depp
Heard leading up to
at the
this
condo
deposition.
At the East Columbia building that day prior to the evening?
Not to my knowledge.
Did you see him arriving at the condo that night?
No.
Did you see Mr. Bett and Mr. Judge that evening?
Yes.
When did you first see them?
I saw them when he ordered them to open the door to PH5 following the incident.
When you say he, to whom are you referring?
Johnny.
Did you ever see them that night somewhere outside the door of PH3?
No.
Do you know whether she received a text from Amber Heard at 8:06 p.m.?
I can't certify the time, but the text message itself and the receipt, yes.
Were you with Rocky when she received that text?
Yes.
Wasn't she already in Penthouse 3 as of 8:06 p.m.?
When she received the text, she was not in Penthouse 3. She was in Penthouse 5 with me. But again, I can't recall with specificity the exact time of these events.
Any time, including that night, did you ever see Mr. Depp strike Rocky Pennington?
No.
That evening, did you see Mr. Depp smash bottles of wine?
No.
Did you see him break furniture?
No.
Did you see him kick a hole through a solid door?
No.
Do you recall when Mr. Depp, Mr. Bett, and Mr. Judge left the building that night?
If we're presuming that that text was received from Raquel at 8:06, they had left the building within 30 minutes, to my recollection.
So it would be approximately sometime around 8:30, 8:29.
Thereabouts, but I don't recall specifically.
What else do you remember about the events of the evening of May 21?
I mean, I can tell you contemporaneously from the start if there's something specific you'd like me to expound on.
Who is Officer Melissa Science?
My understanding, it was the name of the Latina officer that first responded with her partner.
When did she arrive at the scene, if you recall?
Vaguely, I remember them arriving about 45 minutes to an hour after Johnny had left. But again, exact time's a little foggy.
Going back to the Latina officer, was there another officer with her?
Yes, there was a bald gentleman, white.
With which officer, if any, did you speak that night?
Both.
What did you say to them, if you recall?
When they arrived, I greeted them at the door. I walked them through PH3 to show them the damage, show them the broken glass. They had already walked through the hallway over the gigantic wine stain throughout the entire hallway. I took them through PH3, like I said, to show them the damage. I took them back out of the hallway, showed them the dent in the door shaped like the bottom of a wine bottle in PH1. Took them into PH5 to see broken picture frames, smashed glass, Raquel's jewelry and things like that strewn about the apartment. And then I brought them back to PH3, at which point they separated. The Latino officer pulled Amber aside specifically to speak to her one-on-one. The door was closed. I was outside with the other officer. So I can't say with any specificity what happened inside. I don't know whether anybody was in earshot. I don't know whether everybody else was around. They told me specifically it was one-on-one. And I was outside the door with the male officer.
They told me. Didn't see
Specifically, my
anything.
communication with him was asking what, if anything, could be done. Because we were
This would all be
upset.
hearsay in
And
court.
his comment to me specifically was, there's damage in these apartments. Her face is red. If she wants to file a report, we have enough here to go pick him up.
But you've never seen Johnny hit Amber.
That would have been
That's correct. And I've
hearsay
affirmed
and
it to everybody
excluded
that
as
I've
well.
spoken to. I've been explicit about that.
And you've never seen Johnny hit any woman.
Correct.
Do you recall having a conversation with Rocky and Amber after Mr. Depp and his security personnel left the building, but before Officer Science and Officer Haven arrived?
Yes.
Tell us about that.
You'll have to forgive me again. My memory of the exact sequence of events, that transpired after all this is a little foggy. If memory serves, Amber was damn near catatonic after all this. We had gotten her into PH1 so we could deadbolt the door and keep her safe until he left. A few minutes thereafter, I had gotten a little bit of a rundown from Raquel over what had transpired. Raquel got her to call her lawyer, Samantha Spector, to find out what to do. And if memory serves, Samantha's recommendation was that we immediately put together a contemporaneous, matter-of-fact statement together of what had transpired that night. And that ultimately was up to Amber as to what she wanted to do with the police or whatever it may be.
Are you aware that
Or whatever, maybe.
Amber Heard spoke to Officer Science and Officer Haddon that evening?
Yes.
Were you present when she was speaking to them?
No.
Did Amber file a complaint that night?
No.
Did the police arrest Mr. Depp?
No.
Did they issue a warrant for his arrest?
Not that I'm aware of.
Mr. Drew, let's turn for the moment to May 22nd, 2016. Did you see Ms. Hurd at all that day?
Yes,
When did you see her?
at various points throughout the day. If memory serves, Raquel had committed to a jewelry show somewhere, I want to say it was downtown, I might be mistaken, it might have been out in Venice, somewhere in Los Angeles. So she was out most of the day. So I cleared my schedule to be able to be there should Amber need anything. If memory serves, either her attorney or somebody in her group had a friend come over with a locksmith to change the locks just to be safe. And I was there to make sure that happened, and just, like I said, be there for Amber should she need anything, just so she wasn't alone.
When you saw Amber on May 22nd, you don't know whether it was the morning or the afternoon. Is that right?
It was sporadic throughout the day. I think it was some point late morning and throughout the afternoon.
When you first saw her, did you notice any marks on her face?
Yes.
Describe the marks, please.
To be very honest with you, I don't actually remember which side of her face it was, but I do distinctly remember there being a red mark and a small bruise on her cheekbone, and red marks just above her eyebrow and to the right side, or to the side of her eyebrow.
Aren't those consistent with Botox?
Did you see any swelling?
A little bit.
Can you remember anything else? Did you see marks anywhere else other than the ones you described?
No.
Yeah, the cops testified
Did you ever
differently from
notice
this guy. That's
anyone
pretty
visiting
important.
Amber Heard at night while Mr. Depp was away?
During the time that I was living there,
Yes.
yes.
On how many occasions?
I wouldn't even be able to estimate.
Was it more than 10?
Yes,
Was it more than 20?
yes,
Was it more than 30?
yes.
Was it more than 50?
Again, I can't really speculate. I was there for quite some time.
When did that first occur?
Was it between
I mean,
30
I'm
and
not-
50?
Again, I'm not privy to her comings and goings, and she had other friends than us that were coming to see her. So,
And again, to be specific, I'm just talking about visitors at night when Mr. Depp was away.
again, I can't say with any specificity.
When did that first happen that you were aware of?
I mean, I would say pretty early on, but again, there's no context to it. The other consideration that I would say is that the hallway between all of these penthouses was public right of way going to the pool. So my understanding,
I wouldn't say public right away.
it might have been the public, it might have been residents, or I'm sorry, not public, it might have been residents in the building. I can't really say with any specificity.
Who was Elon Musk?
Common space is not public.
Elon Musk was a gentleman that Amber dated intermittently following the restraining order.
When did can you recognize Elon Musk?
Yes.
When did you first see Elon Musk at Penthouse 3?
A little, again, I'm not quite clear exactly, but I want to say it was about.
Did you ever see any bruises on the
after
face of Elon
the
Musk?
restraining order was filed.
If I ever had Elon Musk alone,
But
like in a
while
room, I feel like I
Mr.
would
Depp
walk
and Ms.
out
Heard
with
were
some
still married,
significant
correct?
investment for cool technology that I made.
After May 22nd, 2016, did you ever see any marks on Ms. Heard?
Not to my knowledge, no.
Would you please describe, as far as you can remember, what cleanup efforts were undertaken and by whom?
Well, myself.
Just
in
me. I
Penthouse
let the women
3,
sit
there
by the
was
side.
a number of pieces of broken glass, and either strewed about the counters and the
I
floor.
said, I
in the
got
kitchen.
this queen.
Only in the kitchen, sort of around the kitchen island. In the hallway outside of the penthouses was quite a bit of spilled wine. I don't believe we dealt with that at all. And then in PH5, all of Raquel's things have been strewn about pretty dramatically. So we did our best to sort of put that back together and pack everything back up. And there were, things like piles of books and picture frames were broken, or piles of books were strewn about, and picture frames were broken and things like that. We just picked the glass up off the floor so the dogs didn't get hurt. And I think we left everything else for the time being.
Did you actually see who strewed about? That's not the right word, but did you actually see the person who threw her clothes around?
I didn't witness firsthand any destruction of any kind.
Are you aware that Ms. Heard alleged that Mr. Depp hit her on or about December 15th?
Yes.
What, if anything, do you know about that incident?
So my recollection of that is Raquel and I had come back to the penthouses from where I don't recall specifically, sometime, I want to say late afternoon, early evening. And Raquel was supposed to meet with Amber as soon as they came back. Amber had not been responding to her text messages for some time, so we let ourselves into PH3 together to go check on her and make sure everything was okay. When we came in,
He's like the one guy who hangs out with the mean girl club in high school, so they have them to take their lunch trays away when they're
and then
done.
when we turned the corner on the section,
And when you ask one of them out, they all go, "Oh, we all thought you were
there
gay."
was something written on the counter, and I don't know, I can't remember what material it was, and to be honest, I can't actually recall exactly what was written. It was something very, very weird, like all was such a fraud or something akin to that.
You never saw Mr. Depp strike Amber Heard on or about December 15th, 2015,
No.
correct?
Correct.
Did you see Miss Heard that night?
Yes.
Did you notice any bruising or other signs of injury?
Yes, pretty significant.
Yeah, this was a good look for her. This is as good as I've seen her look all trial.
I noticed specifically she had pretty significant bruising on the inside of both eye sockets, kind of extending down the bridge of her nose, and her forehead was red.
But you have no first-hand knowledge of how that injury occurred.
That's correct.
Are you aware that she made Amber Heard made a television appearance the next day?
Yes.
Do you ever see Mr. Depp take drugs, either prescription drugs or
Oh no, we're under the lane.
drugs that were not by prescription?
Yes.
How many times?
I can't speculate on the number of times, to be honest.
There was some questioning before where people were asking you about emphasizing how many times. Is it fair to say more than 10 times?
Yes.
People
Fair to
were
say more than
asking,
20
or
times?
one
Yes.
attorney
But
was.
to be very honest with you, he was also a very private person, and a lot of that behavior was done in private. I didn't witness a lot of it.
How would you
Did you
know?
ever hear Mr. Depp yell at Ms. Heard?
Yes.
Can you tell me when you recall that and what happened?
I can't say with any specificity the number of times. There was one incident specifically that I do recall. Myself and Raquel were vacation
Nice.
friends with the two of them,
She get a suit like that.
and we were staying separately, separate houses.
I like the time.
And the two of them were having a very, very loud argument with one another, screaming at each other that we could hear through the walls.
How long do you recall approximately that yelling lasted for?
Yeah, Johnny and his lawyer do not get their suits at the same place.
I want to say that I witnessed personally, maybe 30 minutes.
Did Mr. Depp often wear heavy rings that you noticed on his fingers?
Yes.
More than one?
Yes.
And were they large? Is that fair to say?
If memory serves, yes.
December 15, 2015, Los Angeles, California, which is the next page.
Yes, they covered my lips almost entirely.
Basically, refreshes your recollection and just specific reference to Rocky. What knowledge do you have about this incident?
Specifically, coming home, I want to say late afternoon, early evening. It was myself and Raquel. Melanie was not present. Amber had not been responding to Raquel for some time. They were supposed to hang out, the three of them. So we let ourselves into PH3 to check on her and make sure everything was okay. When we came inside, the kitchen and the dining table were a mess. Like the kitchen island area, things were strewn about outside of the norm. And there was something written on the counter adjacent to the kitchen sink, like I stated previously, something like always such a fraud or something in that vein. We realized something was off right away. Raquel told me to go back to our place and then booked it upstairs. I didn't hear from her for about 10, 15 minutes, which I was obviously concerned about.
The incident you just testified about, you talked about the kitchen being with Mr. Chu about the kitchen being a mess on one incident. This is the same incident you were referencing.
Correct.
So I think you testified that when you
Sounds
came,
like
you saw
Elaine's
some
talking
lighting
with a
around
cat in her mouth.
the kitchen. I showed you a document, which is a photograph that we've marked as Drew 10.
It might not be
and asked
Elaine.
you if that's what you were referring to earlier.
Yes.
And did you come to learn, Mr. Drew, who had written this language? Is the kitchen?
How did you come to learn it?
It's
Oh,
the
somebody
kitchen cabinet
told
next to
me.
the kitchen sink.
And this is in the apartment of Ms. Hurd and Mr. Depp?
PH3.
And did you come to learn who had written these words on the kitchen counter?
I'm sure there'll be an objection to this response, but I knew it's his handwriting.
When you use the preposition his in that answer, you meant Mr. Depp?
Correct.
And why, and are you saying that you recognized at the time that it was his handwriting?
Correct.
And how were you able to recognize Mr. Depp's handwriting?
He has a very unique mode of penmanship.
And you had seen that
That's a unique
previously?
Many times.
Can you read what is written on the countertop in Drew 10?
Why be a fraud? All is such bullshit.
Is this Drew 10 an accurate photograph of
Words
what
of
you were
violence.
seeing that day?
To my recollection, yes.
Was anything else written on the countertop?
Not that I remember.
When you came to the apartment and saw the mess in the kitchen and saw these words written on the countertop, were you concerned?
Immediately.
And what were you concerned about?
That something very, very bad had happened.
And
What-
that's in part because
what
you
is that?
assumed immediately that Mr. Depp had written these words?
Yes.
Can you read you read into the record what it says? Can just correct me if I'm wrong. That little kind of red thing there, in the top right-hand corner of the photograph. Do you recall, is that a lipstick? Part of a lipstick?
Couldn't tell you.
At the time, did you have any idea of what this was written in? Do you recall?
Looking at it, I can answer. I don't recall from the time, so I'm going to say no.
And I take it, Mr. Drew, you didn't take this photograph?
No.
Do you know if Rocky did?
I don't know.
And when you say you were concerned that something very bad had happened, what do you mean by that?
You walk into somebody's house and it looks like they vandalized it and things are amiss or things are strewn about. It doesn't portend anything good.
What bad thing did you think might have happened? You've never
Did
witnessed
you go
violence.
anywhere else?
So what bad thing did you think would happen?
Mr.
Big
Depp and Ms.
statement.
Hurd's apartment, other than the kitchen that day?
The living room later.
So, again, to the best of your recollection, I understand it's a long time ago, and I understand these aren't exactly happy memories, but can you tell me chronologically what happened? And you let yourself into the apartment, you saw this. Just tell me the story again, to the best of your recollection of what happened when.
How I remember it is that like I said, we came home late afternoon, early evening. Hadn't heard from Amber in some time, which was out of character for her. Let ourselves in to go check. Saw that written on the counter. Saw the kitchen amiss. Raquel looked at me and said specifically, "Go back to our place. I'm gonna go check on her." Bolted upstairs. I was sitting over in PH1 in our apartment waiting, and I heard from her again. I don't remember exactly. I want to say it was about 10 or 15 minutes later. I really don't remember what my response was. I don't remember what transpired after that, other than there was some time that she was over there. I don't remember when or even if Melanie came over at any point during that evening.
What do you recall about that?
And then I remember it specifically because she had pretty significant visible facial injuries and didn't
Like, really?
if she was going to be in a state to do it or didn't know whether she was even going to have the physical appearance to be able to do it.
And when you say these things, first of all, she in those statements is Amber Heard, correct?
Yes,
Did you see Ms. Heard face that day?
yes.
Do you have good vision?
I didn't have glasses and I didn't need them then, so yes.
So I'm handing you
Wait.
a document that was marked as 211.
Not having glasses and not needing them at the time are different things.
To Ms. Heard's affidavit, declaration is Exhibit 13. And I want you to look at the photos of Ms. Heard's face and tell the jury, Mr. Drew, if those were consistent with what you observed on her face that day.
Tell the
It is.
jury.
I was with Raquel when she took the pictures.
And the pictures were taken on Raquel's iPhone or photo camera.
To my recollection, yes, they could have been taken on Amber's phone. So there wouldn't be any potential accusation of bias or anything like that.
And you described earlier to Mr. Chu that there was, as I recall, kind of color under both of her eyes.
Yes.
And I say her, I mean Ms. Heard. If you look at the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 photo, this one, so I'm going to hold it up.
Yes.
Did you personally observe that day this injury on Ms. Heard's face?
I did.
In December 25th?
I did.
And you said before you were there when Ms. Pennington was taking the photos?
Yes.
There's a couple more photos in there. It looks like there's a busted lip. See those photos?
Yes.
Do you recall seeing that personally on Ms. Heard's face that day?
No.
Honestly, I don't remember without looking at this photo, so I'm more comfortable saying I don't know.
At least he's
Mr.
honest.
Were you there?
Because they had to squeeze that blood drip out.
You were there when all of these photos were taken, or just the photos of the face?
I can't say definitively.
But the
Because they were taken over 3 different days
correct.
and they lied
But
about
at
it.
least some of the photos in Drew 11, you recall being there and personally observing Ms. Pennington take that.
Correct.
And are you aware of any efforts by Rocky or anyone else to manipulate the photos that were taken that day with Photoshop or any other method of changing a photograph?
If I had any knowledge of that or even suspected it, this would be a very different interview.
Whoa.
Very different deposition.
Bringing the testosterone.
Yeah.
I'm gonna turn now.
I would have
to,
definitely defended her honor.
the incident on April 21, 2016, in connection with Ms. Heard's birthday party. I guess it was her 30th birthday party. What I'd like, if you can, Mr. Drew, is for you to tell me in your own words. Again, separate and apart from anything that's in Ms. Heard's declaration, what you recall happening that day and what you
I wonder if this guy
saw.
went to go defend Ukraine.
So if memory serves, it was Amber's 30th birthday. She wanted to have a dinner party at the apartments, just close friends, and I offered to cook dinner for everybody. There had been some mention that he had appointments or he had some things, but that he would be there and so on and so forth. I really don't recall specifically who the appointment was with, what they were for, what time they were, and anything like that. Quite frankly, any talk of schedule with either Amber or Johnny was pretty much moot, to be very honest. Everybody arrived. We were sort of, I think we waited for a little bit of time, expecting him to show up. And at a certain point, I don't know who made the decision. They're just like, let's sit down when he gets here. And we had the party in PH5. We sat outside. I want to say he showed up not towards the end of the evening, but pretty close to. Again, it's just my observation, but it appeared that he was inebriated in some way. I won't say whether he'd been drinking on pills or whatever it was, but it did have the appearance that he was inebriated in some way.
I won't say, but let me just
she
give you
did
some
not
examples
react
of
to
what
it.
it was.
She being
Amber, yeah, played nice.
I was at a Johnny Depp's party. Yeah, I was on my second 6-pack of estrogen.
It was quite pleasant. He does what he always does when he comes and sits down at dinner, is put on a show and connect with everybody and, be entertaining, be pleasant.
What a horror.
The same thing, you would have never known that there was.
He's an entertaining, dynamic host who welcomes everybody at his table.
I didn't hear anything until the next morning.
The monster.
It was a scramble. The girls were leaving the next day for Coachella, which I did not attend with.
Oh, he's still upset about that.
They had gotten in a pretty big argument. But
He didn't have the girl invitation to
that
Coachella.
day, I didn't really get too many stories about it.
You cooked the dinner that night?
Correct.
What'd you cook?
Oh, I don't remember that. Actually, I do remember.
Yeah, we know you remember. Of course you do.
I made tacos actually. Don't ask me why I remember what I made.
Closest he ever gets to the JJ.
She wanted
I
Mexican
make
food,
some
so I
pretty
did
good
Mexican.
tacos. I'm just saying. That's why I made them for her birthday.
When you say that when Mr. Depp walked in, he appeared inebriated, do you recall, was he swaying? Was his voice, his words slurred? What do you recall?
Because I had come to know him pretty well at that point, he was pretty good at hiding it with people who didn't know him all that well. But you could sort of see that if you spend enough time around with him, you could see the little ticks, slurring his words a little bit extra, swaying, being a little bit more discombobulated, and being a little bit more, what's the word? Like just gregarious and loose. It's not his normal mode.
It sounds horrible.
I hate to
Don't come to my house, dude.
to what I'm going to refer to as the poop incident.
It's
I
hilarious.
think you talked about earlier that you
When she like shit on his bed or whatever.
occasions, dog poop or dog pee in Mr. Depp and Ms. Hurd's apartment. Is that correct?
In perpetuity.
When you say in perpetuity, what do you mean?
It's pretty much constant. I've cleaned up my fair share in that apartment.
And I think you testified that the dogs weren't trained to only poop on the sidewalk.
They weren't trained at all. They had their run, and they'd be left at home for large portions of the day sometimes. And if there was nobody there to take care of them, and at some point, there was pee and poop on everything. Couches.
Sounds like that was your job, dude.
Chairs, the bed, you name it.
So let's go to the May 21 incident, which is covered on pages 10.
All of these people in their employ, and they didn't have a freaking dog watcher for while they were gone.
Johnny was probably smacking stuff off the counters. He was like, God damn you people, you all live here free. You can't walk the damn dog?
Yeah.
And same thing that we did for
Can you imagine?
Like if, Mr. Drew, you could just tell me the story of your role, what you saw, what you observed, what you did, chronologically in connection with this incident.
I don't remember what day of the week it was. It was either a Friday or Saturday. I want to say it was a Saturday because I was not in the office. Raquel had her first jewelry show the next day, and the plan was for her and her friend Liz would come over to help her specifically get set up for this. Amber was around.
The screen caption is so funny sometimes. So it just said Raquel had a Jew show.
And
Yeah.
make necklaces and things like that. And I was sort of in and out most of the day.
Joe
hanging
was
out with them.
there.
And pretty rapidly thereafter, I don't think it was more than like
Her first jewelry show. So this was not something she did. This was an affectation
a door
so she could
open
indulge while she was living free in Johnny's
later.
penthouse.
A really
Lots of
loud
cool stuff you
slam,
can do when you don't have
which
to
I
pay for a
later learned
house.
was a wine bottle being smashed into our door, PH1. And then I heard keys jingling and Johnny shouting at one of his security to open this. Is it all right if I swear? I mean, I'm telling you here. That's okay.
You should say the words exactly as they were said.
As I remember, he said, open this fucking door, get me in here. And he came in, caught eyes with me right away, and beeline for me, screaming, cursing, spitting in my face. I walked calmly to leave, realized that I'd forgotten my keys and the dog, so I turned around and walked back to go get both. He stayed and followed with me, walking, pacing, screaming, cursing, spitting in my face. And I left calmly.
Was he following you but spitting in your
Liz was
face?
still in the apartment, and the last look I saw of her is that she bolted around the corner and went upstairs to hide from him.
Had Mr. Depp ever done this to you before?
No.
Did he? How close was he to you when he was when he entered your apartment and was screaming at you?
Close enough for it to be aggressive.
How close is that?
Foot?
Yes.
And you said that you originally heard him say, open the fucking door.
He's not accustomed to men treating him like that.
And screaming.
Couldn't tell you. Honestly, it sounded like gibberish. At that point, I don't think I was really hearing anything. It was just, how can I get the hell out of here without something else happening? Because quite frankly, even though he's standing there in front of my face, he's also got, 2 bodyguards right there with him that are bigger than me. What's really going to happen here?
Yeah, I would have taken him. I would have taken him, man.
What did happen is what was going to
I
happen.
mean,
No violence.
I don't think, honestly, I didn't feel threatened. I'll say that flat out. It seemed really, really silly. I wasn't really surprised. I just wanted to get out and make sure that the girls were okay.
And sometimes you can say someone's spitting at you because they're like performing on a stage and they're.
She wasn't like actively spitting in my face. It was just the nature of how close he was and the way in which he was acting.
It wasn't like in my dreams.
So you go get your keys.
That's when he
you get-
spits
you
in
guys
my
get your
mouth.
dog, I take it.
Yes.
You got your dog. You go out. What happens next?
I walked down to the hallway, and to be very, very candid, I don't remember in this instance whether I went to PH3 to go.
And I
check
realized I forgot my parasol, so I went back and got it.
Months after that, as to when I actually got to Raquel and Amber, or whether they came to me, I really
I
don't.
love when he
remember that
says,
sequence of
to be
events
very, very
offhand.
candid. Bro, you're under oath. You have to be candid at all times.
So when you got to Raquel and Amber, what
You don't have to indicate truth.
I remember first speaking to them specifically in PH1 in our place, but how it is, like I said, how it is we got there, I don't remember.
What a weird hand tat. Is that a crab on his hand?
And Amber was like,
Does he have herpes on his other hand?
like 1,000-yard stare, just
I mean, keep a consistent
like
theme.
trying to calm down herself. And I was like, what the fuck just happened? And she started to recount a little bit, and I went right out the door and started banging on the door to do something regrettable. He was already gone at that point.
You just so I understand that you banged
Always
on the
the
door.
phantom tough guy.
You couldn't go to Drew one if you don't know.
I was gonna kick his ass, but he was gone.
So tell me where you are, where he was, where you weren't.
I was in here when Johnny came in. Doors right here.
The witness should reflect, I mean, the record should reflect the witness put into PH5.
Door was right there. This is
I wonder where he lives now. You think he lives like in a tool shed in Gary Busey's yard?
door to PH1, right smack in the middle. And I went back, started banging on the door to
Tool shed
PH5.
number 3,
Going there, they were
Gary
already on.
Busey's backyard.
So what sparked you to go back to try to go after Mr. Depp was hearing from Rocky that Mr. Depp had pushed her
Correct.
as opposed to Ms. Hurd.
Correct.
By the time you got over there, he'd already left.
Yes.
This guy is the defender of all women.
You said that Amber, when you saw
Just
that
like every other one,
Rocky
always would
said
kick
that
someone's
she was
ass, but
electronic.
never gets the
So
opportunity.
just the ghost.
How did Rocky feel?
From what I remember, sort of like when somebody's coming down from an adrenaline rush, she was just sort of like, she didn't really know what to do. Couldn't sit still, just sort of standing there and shaking.
So
It was like I hadn't folded the laundry yet.
you had gone to try to find the job and she already left. What happened next?
I went right back to the girls to make sure that they were okay after my own little selfish outburst.
And they were at that point still in your apartment.
They were still in my apartment. I came in. Amber started to come out of it a little bit. Raquel started to calm down a little bit. I started to get a little bit of information as to what happened. The thing I remember most distinctly was that Amber had Johnny's cell phone in her hand, so I took it from her.
And when did you first learn about the police?
We were in PH1. I believe at that point when I came back upstairs, Amber was already on the phone with her attorney. We went back to go take pictures of all the damage, took pictures of the wine stain and the whole.
Is that the first time you saw the damage in her place, or had you already seen it and kind of went back and forth?
Again, I'm a little foggy on that. I can't say definitively whether I've seen it before or whether that was when I saw it for the first time. So we took her back to PH3. We took photos of the damage inside. And I want to say the first responders came pretty shortly thereafter. Maybe, again, I'm really guessing here. I want to say 20 or 30 minutes at the most.
The first set of police officers who were there, how long do you call them staying?
Maybe 15 minutes. I was asked to greet the officers specifically because Amber didn't want to file a report. And I said that I would speak to them to see if I could, get them to leave and say that everything's okay, even though we all.
If there's apparent evidence of domestic violence, the police don't need a report, folks. They just make an arrest.
Okay, so 2 questions. Why did you know that there was no way they could do that? Question, let me ask you that question first.
Survivor of domestic violence myself.
What was your understanding? Why she didn't want to have
She was still protecting him.
What else?
He has a defamation suit against him in 3, 2, 1.
Do you remember the female Hispanic police officer or the Caucasian gentleman saying that
He's a survivor of domestic violence himself.
I remember I was the one who walked them through PH3 where the original incident had occurred. I showed them the broken glass. They had already walked over the wine stain in the hallway, or the big spill of wine, and I showed them the bolt in the door. You could see looked like the bottom of a wine bottle. I took them into PH5 and showed them through. Their communication to me throughout was me just pointing things out to them. The Caucasian police officer pulled me outside solo. I can't say what happened internally, so I don't know whether anybody was in earshot, whether it was just Amber and the officer having a one-on-one, or whether there was anybody else around them. I don't know what was said either, specifically outside of what I might have heard secondhand, which has already been talked about ad nauseum.
you have in front of you, Mr. Drew, a series of photographs that we've marked as Drew 13. And I think I'm just going to take you through them one by one, if that's okay with you. And I want to ask you if you remember, if you could tell me what these photos are.
These are photos taken of her the night of the incident.
Who took the photos?
Some were taken by me, some were taken by Raquel.
And when you say the night of the incident,
May 21.
and are you sitting here today, can you distinguish which were taken by you and which were taken by?
No.